Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister briefs the country's political parties on Bangladesh developments, delivers a statement in both houses of parliament. Bangladesh's president dissolves the country's parliament, paves the way for formation of an interim government. Opposition leader Khalida Zia released from years of house arrest. The UK government increases its prison capacity to help tackle anti-immigrant riots. About 400 people have been arrested so far. And at the Paris Olympics, India's Neeraj Chopra throws his second best ever at 89.34 meters to enter the javelin final. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar spoke about Bangladesh's situation in both houses of the country's parliament. The minister said that Sheikh Hasina has been in India since Monday evening local time. She had sought India's permission at short notice to enter the country.
It is our expectation that the host government will provide the required security protection. With leaders of the security establishment, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina apparently made the decision to resign. At very short notice, she requested approval to come for the moment to India. We simultaneously received a request for flight clearance from Bangladesh authorities. She arrived yesterday evening in Delhi.
The minister said that there are an estimated 19,000 Indian nationals in Bangladesh. New Delhi is in close and continuous touch with the Indian community there.
We are in close and continuous touch with the Indian community in Bangladesh through our diplomatic missions. There are an estimated 19,000 Indian nationals there, of which about 9,000 are students. The bulk of the students, however, have already returned to India in the month of July. In terms of our diplomatic presence, in addition to the High Commission in Dhaka, we have assistant High Commissions in Chittagong, Rajshahi, Khulna and Sylhet. It is our expectation that the host government will provide the required security protection for these establishments. We look forward to their normal functioning once the situation stabilizes.
Meanwhile, Bangladesh's parliament has been dissolved. The country now awaits a formation of an interim government. The army chief discussed with leaders of political parties on the way forward. President Mohammad Shahabuddin said an interim government will hold a general election as soon as possible after consulting parties and other stakeholders. India's Ministry of External Affairs, in association with Confederation of Indian Industry, is hosting the first BIMSTEC Business Summit in New Delhi. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will shortly inaugurate the business summit. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and others will address the summit. The maiden edition of the business summit aims to foster greater regional collaboration through robust trade and investment relations among BIMSTEC member countries. The event will bring together more than 300 key stakeholders from across the Bay of Bengal region. Moving on, the UK government has increased its prison capacity to help tackle violent, week-long anti-immigrant riots. Its Justice Department, which is being forced to release some prisoners early as it battles a jail overcrowding crisis, said that 600 prison places had been secured to accommodate those engaged in violence. About 400 people have been arrested so far. Riots across a number of towns and cities erupted after the murder of 3 girls at a Taylor Swift-themed event in Southport after false messaging on social media wrongly identified the suspected killer as an Islamist migrant. The unrest has prompted India, Australia, Nigeria and other countries to warn their citizens to stay vigilant. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with the Sultan of Oman, Haitham bin Tariq Al Said, on Tuesday. According to a UK government press release, the two leaders agreed to closely work for ensuring stability in West Asia, as well as expanding the ties across defense, security and trade. The regional situation remains tense after the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr. The Secretary of Russia's Security Council, Sergei Shoigu, met Iran's Rear Admiral Ali Akbar Ahmadian, a senior Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander who serves as the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, on Monday. A Russian news agency reported on Tuesday that Shoigu discussed about the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. The United Nations investigation has found that 9 employees in its Gaza office may have been involved in the 7th October attacks in Israel. The 9 no longer work at the agency. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency has 13,000 staff in Gaza. The investigation was launched in January after Israel accused the agency's staff of participating in the 7th October attacks that left more than 1,200 people in Israel dead. Some of the 9 employees were sacked in January, while others were fired after new information came to light. U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were briefed on Monday by their national security team on developments in West Asia, including threats posed by Iran and its proxies to American service members. They were told that it is still not clear when Iran and Hezbollah will attack Israel. Iran blames Israel for the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and has said that it will punish Israel for the killing. But Israel has not claimed responsibility for the killing. Iran has said that it seeks to establish stability in the region, but clarified that it will take serious and deterrent action against Israel. Iran's foreign ministry called in ambassadors and heads of mission in Tehran for a meeting with acting foreign minister Ali Bagheri Kani on Monday to reiterate Iran's will to respond to Israel. Amid tensions in West Asia, several countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, France and South Korea, have issued advisories and evacuation orders urging their citizens to leave Lebanon immediately. South Korea's foreign ministry on Tuesday strongly advised its nationals in Lebanon and Israel to leave as soon as possible because of escalating tensions. It will also issue a ban on its citizens traveling to the border areas of Israel and Lebanon starting from Wednesday. Some airlines have suspended their flights. Delta of the U.S. announced it will suspend all flights from New York City to Tel Aviv for the remainder of August. The announcement extends a previous suspension that began last week. Germany's Lufthansa said its planes will avoid Iranian and Iraqi airspaces through the 7th of August. Meanwhile, Hezbollah said it launched a swarm of attack drones against military targets in Israel on Tuesday. But it was not in retaliation to Israel's killing of Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut last week. The Hezbollah has vowed to avenge his killing, prompting worries of a major escalation that could tip into a full-blown war. A U.S. judge has ruled that Google acted illegally to crush its competition and maintain a monopoly on online search and related advertising. The landmark decision on Monday is a major blow to Alphabet, Google's parent company. It could reshape how technology giants do business. Google was sued by the U.S. Department of Justice in 2020 over its control of about 90% of the online search market. It's one of several lawsuits that have been filed against the big tech companies as the U.S. antitrust authorities attempt to strengthen competition in the industry. It is not clear, though, as to what penalties Google and Alphabet will face as a result of the decision. The fines or other remedies will be decided in a future hearing. India's President Draupadi Murmu addressed Fiji's parliament on Tuesday. Fiji conferred its highest civilian award, the Companion of the Order of Fiji, on President Murmu. The president addressed an enthusiastic gathering of Indian diaspora in Fiji as well. Anjana Unnikrishnan reports from Fiji's capital, Suva.
President Draupadi Murmu's visit to Fiji saw the two sides exchange documentation of project sites for a 100-bedded super speciality hospital in Suva and land for the Chancery and Cultural Centre of the High Commission of India. Earlier in the day, President Murmu received a ceremonial welcome and guard of honour at the Suva airport, followed by a splendid traditional Fijian welcome ceremony. She highlighted the preservation of native traditions as integral to cultural identity and empowerment. The President underscored the shared values between the two nations during her address to the Fijian Parliament.
Our democracy, the diversity of our societies, our creed that all human beings are equal, and our commitment to the liberty, dignity and rights of every individual. These shared values are eternal and shall continue to guide us ahead.
The President also addressed the Indian community and hailed the contribution of the Girmitiyas in the development of Fiji and close ties between the two nations.
अनेक कठिनाइयों के बीच अग्रणी पीढ़ियों द्वारा दिखाया गया दृढ़ संकल्प, उनका संघर्ष और बलिदान और फिर उनकी सफलता एक अद्भुत विरासत है। हम आज आप सभी को और आपके पूर्वजों को याद करते हैं और उनका में स्मृति को हम नमन करते हैं। अपनी सांस्कृतिक पहचान को बरकरार रखते हुए फिजी भारतीय समुदाय ने अपने नई मातृभूमि को अपनाया है और इस महान देश के निर्माण में अपना योगदान दिया है, जो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में आशा की किरण है।
The President paid floral tributes to the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial College in Suva. She also laid a wreath at the National War Memorial.
As India celebrates 75 years of diplomatic presence in Fiji, the country has become a key partner for India in the Pacific region. With high-profile engagements and action-oriented platforms like FIPIC, this long-standing partnership will be elevated to the next level. With camera person Alok Gupta, this is Anjana Unnikrishnan for DD India, Fiji.
All right, now take a look at what else is making news around the world. Catalan separatist leader Carles Puigdemont may consider returning to Spain despite an arrest warrant in place for him. The separatist leader had fled Spain in 2017 after a failed independence drive deemed illegal by the courts. French cybercrime police is investigating a ransomware attack against the Grand Palais exhibition hall in Paris, where Olympic events are being held. The attackers had demanded payment of a ransom within 48 hours. More than 8,200 pounds equipment and scientific supplies were delivered to the International Space Station by Cygnus NG-21 cargo spacecraft. The spacecraft will remain attached to the ISS for several months before departing with disposable cargo. Still to come on DD India Live. Japan marks the 79th anniversary of the Hiroshima bombing. And India hosts a multinational air exercise codenamed Tarang Shakti 2024.
The one common theme between all major cities across the world is hope and the promise of new opportunities and possibilities that gravitates people towards them.
The reason why we advocate green transformations is because you can retain the building and you can actually modify.
There's a lot that happens when you extract sand beyond sustainable limits. It's going to change your course of your river, it's going to widen the channel, it's going to damage, and we are paying a big price.
We have 2 water reservoirs on 84 acres of land. During periods when the river water is non-saline, we store water in these reservoirs. Throughout the year, we distribute this water to residents.
Tiny houses are in vogue. Less is more. Many also assume tiny homes are more eco-friendly.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. U.S. Democratic candidate Kamala Harris is expected to announce a vice presidential pick in the coming hours ahead of the pair's first campaign rally. Harris has reportedly cut her pool of possible running mates down to just 2, as Nick Harper reports from Washington, D.C.
Well, we thought Monday was going to be the day when Vice President Kamala Harris announced her vice presidential pick. However, that was not the case, that announcement being pushed back to Tuesday. It's not clear still what form that announcement will take. Remember, when Joe Biden announced his vice president, Kamala Harris, back in 2000, he did it in an email that was quickly followed up by a video, and the thinking is that we could see something similar, an email to supporters, a video put on various social media platforms. But of course all of that will come before the late Tuesday afternoon rally that Kamala Harris and her vice presidential pick will be holding in the city of Philadelphia in the important swing state of Pennsylvania. Now, it seems as if her cast of about 6 or 7 candidates has now been whittled down to just 2. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor. Those seem to be the final 2 in contention. We know that they had meetings with Kamala Harris, interviews over the course of the weekend at her private residence in Washington, D.C., and it really is now a wait-and-see situation. We know that after that rally on Tuesday, the 2 of them will then embark on a tour of about 6 or 7 other swing states, the likes of Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, all places that could make or break her chances of winning the election in November. So a crucial decision ahead. It's still not clear if she has finally made it or if that's something that she'll come to the decision on Tuesday morning ahead of informing the public of who she wants to be her running mate for the 2024 election. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And in news just coming in, Kamala Harris has picked her running mate in Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. We'll keep you posted on that as we go along. But that's the news we are tracking now. Tim Walz would be Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick and running mate for the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Right, moving on for now, Japan on Tuesday marked the 79th anniversary of the atomic bombing on Hiroshima. A memorial service was held at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park, which was attended by Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio, Hiroshima Mayor Kazumi Matsui and others. Kishida called for a world free from nuclear weapons despite nuclear threats by Russia, making it even more challenging. 50,000 participants, including ambassadors from 109 countries, sat at an outdoor memorial ceremony at the park. The Lok Sabha, that's the lower house of India's parliament, paid tributes to the victims of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The House reaffirmed India's commitment to a world free of weapons of mass destruction. The bombs were dropped on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the 6th of August and the 9th of August in the year 1945. India's medical technology industry is growing. The country's medtech market was valued at $10 billion in 2014 and is expected to touch $50 billion by 2025. The government's production-linked incentive scheme is extremely beneficial for the country. There are 9 med tech parks in the country where more than 100 medical devices are manufactured. A global med tech conference was organized by CII in New Delhi to further give impetus to the med tech industry. Minister Jitendra Singh said that India is an emerging medical tourism destination, and if government and private sectors work together in the health sector, it will boost the country's economy.
Unless we have industry linkage right from the beginning, we are not going to move on. And to that extent, I think the Global Med Tech Summit is a brainstorming forum for that. And the preventive healthcare is something that we would have to target, whether we are on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. The common agenda has to be that. Now, the government is very open. I'm glad the Prime Minister is very supportive. We have come out with the National Research Foundation, which is going to get executed very fast, which also has its more than 60–70% resource from the non-government sector.
The 5th edition of the Global Fintech Fest will take place from the 28th to the 30th of August in India's financial capital of Mumbai. The theme of the fest is Blueprint for the Next Decade of Finance, Responsible AI, Inclusive, Resilient. Addressing a pre-event press conference, G. Padmanabhan, a former executive director of India's central bank, the RBI, said this year many topics will be discussed, including challenges around cryptocurrency and central bank digital currency as well.
The most important use of CBDC, when the countries adopt it around the world, is going to happen in cross-border transactions. So that's yet to take shape, because different countries are experimenting, and these countries will have to be connected for these cross-border transactions to happen seamlessly. Already the bilateral experiment is happening as far as the UPIs are concerned, but once the CBDC becomes seamless, that's going to make a material difference.
The Indian Air Force is hosting the first phase of a multinational air exercise codenamed Tarang Shakti. It's underway at Sulur in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. The air forces of Germany, France, Spain and the United Kingdom are taking part in it. The second phase will take place at Jodhpur in the northwestern state of Rajasthan in the month of September. The Indian Air Force has deployed its Rafale, Tejas, Sukhoi 30 MKI, Mirage 2000 and Jaguar fighters, along with the Prachand helicopters. The German, Spanish and British air forces will join with the Eurofighter Typhoon aircraft. Australia, the UAE and the US will bring their F-18 fighters. France will participate with its Rafale fighter aircraft. And now to all the updates from the Paris Olympics. Olympic defending champion and India's star athlete Neeraj Chopra has qualified for the javelin final at the Paris Olympics. He qualified in his very first attempt. He threw 89.34 meters in the Group B qualification round. It was Neeraj's best ever throw at a global championship and his second best ever after the 89.94 in the Diamond League in Stockholm. India's wrestler Vinesh Fogart beat Ukraine's Oksana Levic to advance in the semi-finals of the women's 50 kg at the Paris Olympics. Fogart is just one win away from securing a medal. She stunned world number 1 and defending champion Yui Sasaki of Japan in the round of 16 before edging out Ukraine's Oksana Levic in a quarter-final match. It's a historic win for Vinesh as Sasaki won the gold at Tokyo 2020 without conceding a point. This is the first time Sasaki lost a bout in an international competition. The Indian government's quick action to provide Forte air conditioners for athletes in Paris shows its strong commitment to their well-being. This move ensures that athletes have optimal conditions for recovery and performance during a heat wave. A report here by Narayan Singh, our correspondent in Paris.
In a swift response to the sudden rise in temperature and humidity in Paris, the Indian government has provided 40 air conditioners for Indian athletes at the Games Village. This initiative was the result of a coordinated effort involving the Sports Ministry, the Sports Authority of India, Indian Olympic Association and the Indian Embassy in France. India's ambassador to France, Jawad Ashraf, praised the government's quick action, highlighting the importance of comfort and proper recovery for optimal performance.
One of the requirements, and this is not the only one, was to provide air conditioners. Now, we had anticipated this, and therefore, once the decision was conveyed to us by the Sports Ministry and Sports Authority of India, then we were able to procure the required 40 air conditioners because there are 38 rooms within hours. I mean, so we got this request on the 1st in the afternoon, and then by the 2nd morning, all the air conditioners had been delivered as and when the Games Village gates opened.
Indian athletes have expressed their gratitude for the timely intervention. This initiative has significantly improved their recovery time after training and matches.
यहाँ पे वैसे भी बहुत गर्मी था और हमारे रूम में एसी नहीं था, तो हमारा सरकार स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर बहुत अच्छा कदम उठाए, हमारे रूम में एसी लगवा दिए, तो इससे हमें बहुत फ़ायदा हुआ है, रिकवरी और अच्छा से हो रहा है, नहीं तो हम लोग रात भर सो नहीं पा रहे थे, इतना गर्मी था.
This swift and thoughtful response highlights the Indian government's commitment to its athletes. It also underlines the importance of providing the best possible conditions for the success of our athletes.
The installations of air conditioners in Games Village is not merely a gesture of comfort for the Indian athletes, but it's a strategic move so that our athletes can recover quickly after their rigorous training sessions and after their matches. It also emphasizes the motive of the government to put the Indian sports on the global stage. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Paris.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it. And let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. All of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.